So I'm still not feeling great, so we're not going to do a real long one today, that's for sure. It's going to have to just watch a couple things, and then I'm probably going to take some medicine and a nap, because I'm just not feeling so great. Anyway, I just have a bunch of shit to do anyways. I probably can't even take a nap. Anyways, I wish I could. So we're going to watch at least these two, and we're going to figure out what the fuck Star Yak Ranch is, because I have no idea. So we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna watch it, and there you go. Oh, it's Jeffree Star's ranch. All right, I assume that's what this is.
Everybody, welcome to the Star Yak Ranch.
All right. Jesus. So we're gonna watch this thing about the Star Yak Ranch, and it's gonna hopefully be real good. It's just funny to see this car in front of a ranch, though. I just want to point that out. What is this exactly? So we're going to finally reveal everything that involves my ranch. Jeffree Star. So there you have it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Star Yak Ranch. And also, welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are ya? Now, in today's video, we are here in Casper, Wyoming at the Star Yak Ranch. And there has been a just endless amount of questions about the ranch.
Okay.
So people want to meet the yaks up close and personal. We want to talk about breeding, pets, meat, food, and the whole charade. And yes, girl, we've been making headlines. So let's come take a tour of the Star Yak Ranch. Finally, after a year of so many secrets, let's take a little ride.
Hold on. I wanted to catch that. There you go. So I think that right there is a cool emblem to have for your ranch, right? Like at your gates to your ranch. Like this isn't going to be a brand. It's too intricate for a brand. And there are like really strict rules for branding as well, for those who don't know. If you're ranching and you have your brand, it can't be like this. It's too much. There's real strict rules to it. It's very odd. I'm not familiar exactly with what they are off the top of my head, but when I was in New Mexico, there were some guys that got into, on their land they had out there while we were in the Air Force, and deciding to stay out there because they were just done moving around the country. They decided they're just going to stay there, bought some land, started ranching some animals, and I was just talking to them about going through their brands. But this is actually, that's really cool. And the fact that he had somebody go through, because I guarantee you this is 2 layers, where it's a silver back, and then it's the black over the top of it, it's a good way to do it, for sure. Gives you a really great contrast so you can see all the detail, and it's real smart. I just like the design work for that. I really enjoy it. I also think it's hilarious. Like, why yaks? Of all the things Jeffree Star could have decided to ranch when he decided, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to go to Wyoming where there's nobody anyways, and I'm just going to have a bunch of land, and I'm going to do my thing. Fully support it. I just want to know why yaks. Of all the fucking things, why yaks?
It's so nice to have the yaks just surround my home. Now, when I first got into yaks, now you guys, I've been filming at the Star Yak Ranch for so long, and I've used 0 footage. Chris is probably like, hello. So I've also done a lot of vlogging, so we're going to throw up some clips off this video when I'm running my mouth. But I started, you guys, with just this house and 70 acres. And then people around us were selling our land. Now the Star Yak Ranch is now at over 600 acres. And
holy shit, so we started at 70 acres, and then with just neighbors selling their land, bought neighboring land, and now he's got over 600 acres. Now that, in all honesty, this is the way to go about getting land. You don't start massive. You start with 30, 40 acres maybe, and then like 50 acres is a pretty common amount. Like 30 to 50 acres is a fairly common amount of land for a lot of places. So you start there, and then when you see the land around you go up for sale, you buy that land as well. And the thing is, if you can't afford to manage and operate all that land, you can just lease that land out to other people that ranch or farm, and they will take care of that land according to the lease. And you're the one who owns it. It's your land. You still have, like, hopefully mineral rights, things of that nature, so that if you put oil pumps out there and stuff, you can get the money off of that. So it all just kind of depends what you're doing. But for people who are wondering, like, how to go about obtaining land and how to do these things to make money, that is typically how you want to do it. Just get a little bit of land, like Jeffree Star said. He started with, what did he say, 60 acres, and now he's at 600, or 70 acres, now he's at 600, whatever it is. That's how you do it. Just procure your land and then start buying neighboring property when it goes for sale.
And the yaks just get to be grass-fed and chill and live in their environment. I'm so happy to call.
I mean, well, obviously they're just going out and eating.
December, can't believe it, and we've been yakking for over a year.
Is it called yakking?
And
not ranching?
I kept this ranch kind of not under wraps, but I've just been keeping it to myself. It's where I found peace after being canceled for the 10th time.
Does it work though when you're getting canceled and just getting more successful every time?
I have only a few people that help me on this ranch, but it's really mainly me and my best friend Michael. I do have a few ranch hands, but it's really me and my best friend doing all the work. Santala? Hi, Pumpkin. Come here, girl. Now, this is my birthday twin, my little Scorpio. Look at her. Today, we're going to go drive around the ranch. We're going to meet some of the yaks, and we're going to answer all your questions because there are so many. So let's
just why yaks?
Get in our Polaris General and go see
exactly right.
So this is how I start my mornings. I come out here really early when everyone's just chilling, and I just spend time with them all. A lot of people are like, Jeffree, how are your yaks so tame? You really have to spend a lot of time with them.
You just hang out with them and they're used to people. That's how that works.
He's a golden trim, and he's such a sweet boy. We've been handling him now for about over a year, and we're going to try to do some grooming today. So yesterday he let me brush him out, and when the summer hits, this coat starts shedding. Oh, sweetest boy. So this is all fiber, and yes, it is usable. I mean, the fiber just melts right off. Now, normally I'd have a bag, I would save it all, and you can send it to the fiber mill, and that's a whole nother conversation. But
So you ranch the yaks for their fur that you just groom out of them like you would a dog, and you send that to fiber plate people, and they make whatever they make out of yak fur, and you get compensated for selling yak fur, basically, I guess. I just don't know what the appeal is for the yaks. Like, straight up, just why the yaks, though?
But,
God damn it, Jeffree.
I have over 120 yaks, and they all need to get
That's a lot of yaks.
Big old Swiss man. So this is his winter coat. Now, a lot of people are like, Jeffree, do they ever go indoors? Yaks thrive when it's negative 20 degrees. Remember, they're from the Himalayas, and
exactly. This is why I don't understand why you want yaks, of all things.
So they thrive in Wyoming. Look at his fiber color. It's so cool. So as summer comes, their thick coat that protects them in the winter, it all just starts shedding.
Yeah, like your dog. Like my dog, right? My dog does this.
Bonding with the animal, letting them know that it's all positive energy. They're just getting loved on, and they're desensitized to humans. So, Swissy, tell them. So we have these in all the pastures. It's a whole mineral supplement. Yaks really need copper in their diet.
Oh, that's weird. They need copper?
Hay or grazing the mountains.
No, you're not getting copper out of hay and grazing.
So he'll just stand here for like 20, 30 minutes and just lick.
Oh, that's wild. That looks weird. Like, it makes sense because it's like a big salt lick, basically. So it makes sense it looks the way it does. It's just wild.
It's softer than cashmere. Feel that.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's crazy.
All right, Swissy. We'll see you in a little.
Did he go with yaks so that he could get fiber for like a clothing line or something? Is that what this is for? I'm really curious. Because it would make a lot of sense. Being Jeffree Star and the types of things he's into, it would make sense to me if he ended up with like a yak ranch where he's harvesting all this fiber to make specific clothing in a clothing line out of that fiber. That would make a lot of sense to me.
A little bit, big head. Come on, let's go this way. Now this big baby is Shiva. He comes from Colorado. He's a big boy. He's a steer, meaning he's not fertile. His balls have been, and he really keeps all that bulls in line. And really he likes Swiss roads in the pasture. Now yesterday I actually groomed him and I got all of this off.
It looks like
now
it.
It's just about some maintenance, and you see how now the different colors will have different type of fiber. So the white, it kind of melts off different, less guard hair than the goldens. It's also very grounding just to like hang out with animals and not people all day. So I really got all of that. The parts that I need to get now are like branch that was in his arm.
Right. So what the fuck?
Shed. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
But yeah,
Now normally
definitely.
I would save this because the white fiber is valuable. You can dye any color. You can make it into yarn or so many different things. I'm very ignorant about the fiber world of yakking, so I'm learning, and I can't wait to absorb more knowledge. But for now, we just want to get these winter coats off. So I'm not going to save it. And actually, the birds love to collect this fiber all over the ground.
Oh, I'm sure they just make big nests.
For their nests. So.
Think of the insulation those birds get for their eggs that they're laying in that fur too. That has to be like super insulated for those eggs. Really good for fertilizing and hatching eggs, I'm sure. It seems like it'd be a smart plan. And so in Colorado when I was there were some yaks that were like right there in the middle of Denver basically. And it was really interesting, and now that whole field that used to have the yaks in it is just apartment complexes. And it's kind of strange, and I never knew what they did with these yaks. It was just one day there were 2 yaks, and then like a year later there were 4 yaks, and then a year later there were 6 yaks, and then there were always 6 to 8 yaks in that piece of property, and that was about it. And I don't know what the hell you do with yaks. Like, you don't go to the grocery store and buy yak meat, you know what I mean? So I just don't get it.
Multi-purpose, always. And then sometimes when you're giving them a massage, they just
like he's into it the way my doggo gets into it. Like, oh, I want to push my head into you, give me them loves. Oh, yeah.
Aren't his horns massive?
Insane.
They're so big.
Is that so, like, horns, like, antlers get shed every year. Horns do not. So, like, how does one crack a horn, and what happens with it? Like, does it heal? Or does it just die? Like, what's the deal?
He's a deadly man. This is like one big massage for him, so he's just having the time of his life. He's like, oh,
yeah, he's having a spa day. He likes it.
All right, you guys, is this where we segue into my meat business? Oh my God, people are so crazy. I think city folk don't understand farming, Chris. There was a very
well, they don't.
Misconception that when I announced that I was going to start selling meat, people thought it was all of my pets that I've been spending the last year and a half with. Sorry, they're all right here. Now, there is definitely a whole culture in the entire America of harvesting food, and I think most people know that. But then
you kind of need it to live.
Like, I thought meat came
weird.
from the grocery store. You guys, I literally was like, that's not real, right? And then... But then I was shocked. I read some comments like, I thought
this
meat
is
came from the
perfect.
grocery store.
Perfect. That's perfect. Right there. When people are like, oh, I thought meat came from the grocery store. Well, how do you think it got there? On a truck. Yeah, you're right. And where was it before it got put on the truck? In a warehouse? Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. What did they do at that warehouse? Because usually that warehouse is called a meat packaging facility. So what did they do there? What happens there? Well, they get the meat and then they turn it into like other kinds of meat, right? So you know what that is? That means they get a whole half of a cow or a whole cow, and then they have to break it down into steaks and roasts and ground meat and sausages and all the different types of meat that you see. Like, that's what they're doing with it. And then where was that meat before it got to the meat packaging facility? Well, it was probably at its last destination as a live animal, okay? Because some places don't go through the actual slaughter and meat packaging. Most places don't, as a matter of fact. You usually have to bring the meat packaging, the slaughtered animal, and they'll take care of it there. And some ranches don't slaughter their own animals. Like, I don't want to deal with that. I've raised this thing since it was born. I've raised its grandparents, its great-grandparents. My granddad raised its great-great-great-great-granddad. Like, some people have an attachment to it in some way, and they just take it to the slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse does their portion, and then it goes to the meat packaging facility. So when you see meat that says, like, grass-fed, corn-finished, or grass-fed, grass-finished, that means that when it went to the slaughterhouse before it was slaughtered, it was still being fed that diet that it says, corn or grass or grain, whatever it may be, before they slaughter it, and then that animal goes to the meat packaging facility, onto the truck, and into the store for you to purchase. It started out like this, in a field, as an animal, before it got slaughtered and put into a package for you to get at the store. Okay? That's how this works. That's just how it works. And if you think that buying vegetables doesn't do the same thing, you are out of your mind. If you think that tilling those fields doesn't kill rabbits and ground nesting birds, you're wrong. You think that you don't have sometimes little fawns, like baby deer and stuff, that get caught up in that type of stuff, you're wrong. You think that having to put pesticides out there to prevent all these bugs and insects and pests, because it's to prevent pests. And when people think of this, they think of grasshoppers and things that are going to eat the plants. And the fact is, deer eat those plants. Rabbits eat those plants. Elk eat those plants. You have a plethora of animals that are considered pests to harvesting the crops that you would eat as a vegetarian or a vegan. And in order to protect them, to harvest them, to give to you, animals die.
You guys, I literally was like, that's not real, right? And then people in Wyoming were like, oh yeah, people think meat comes from the grocery store. And I'm like, oh my God.
I've talked to some of these people.
No
It's
idea.
mind-numbing.
I'm educated about farming, where meat came from, even the culture of hunting and providing food for your family. It's a whole entire world. And living in Wyoming, I've definitely learned the Wyoming way. But yes, it may seem a little interesting to some people, or you were a little perturbed
I'm sure.
that I am raising yaks for breeding and pets. And then, yes, we're also
Breeding and pets.
yak.
So he has the yaks for breeding and pets, and that's his purpose. What? I didn't expect this. I truly did not expect that to be the reason. Like, it seems like a lot of money to invest. Like, first of all, one cow, for instance, is going to cost you thousands of dollars. Plus, you need the land for that cow. Okay? And then you have to feed that cow. And you have to make sure it's got water. And then things like this. Or like the yaks, snows, they love it. It doesn't matter so much. But at the same time, depending on the animals, you might need shelter. My point is, that's a lot of money to invest into something to have as pets. That's just not what I expected. I expected there to be like I'm going to invest, but you know, like if these things can fund their own existence, at least that would make sense. So that was kind of where I figured we'd get an answer for this, but not breeding and pets. But like you could sell them, obviously, to people who want them. I just don't understand if there's much of a yak market, because like I said, you ain't buying yak steaks.
Yaks for food. And yak meat is so amazing. It's actually the leanest, healthiest red meat in America.
No, it's not. I disagree wholeheartedly. I've never had yak meat, but I disagree wholeheartedly because of the fact that you can buy in America bison, which is natural in America. They thrive in American environments and climates. They're meant to be here. Cows are not. Like without humans, cows die. They will stop existing. The bison will thrive. The yaks would probably be fine. The thing is, if you've ever had bison and you get bison, because like that's pretty much all I buy, it is amazingly lean. If you've ever, like, if you hunt or you have family that hunts or friends that hunt, I suggest you check out their meat. It is insanely lean. You can go get an elk or a deer, like venison, ribeye steak. Now, if you compare that to a beef ribeye, the beef ribeye has an immense amount of fat in it. It's marbled into the meat. It's all over the outside of the meat. It weaves through a couple portions of the meat, aside from the marbling, and then it's got all that fat. The bison has some of that fat, not marbled through the meat, but it's got on the outside and through it. The deer and the elk will have that same kind of fat line as the bison, but even less pronounced. I highly doubt that yak is going to be more lean than a game animal, and you can buy elk that comes from the Rocky Mountains. You can get that meat. It's not cheap to purchase. Most of the time, if you're buying elk, it's farmed in like Sweden or Norway or something along those lines, and then it's imported. But you can get Rocky Mountain elk, and it's insanely lean meat. And that's if you just don't hunt or know anybody that hunts that has any. But there are ways to get it, and I just don't think that yak is going to be more lean. It might be as lean. I just don't see it being more lean. I think it's probably comparable to bison, to be perfectly honest, because both of them are raised and farmed and ranched, and they're not necessarily wild.
And no one's talking about it. For some reason, everyone picked beef and bison, and yaks got just pushed to the wayside in America.
Well, that's because yaks aren't naturally here. So the reason for this is very obvious. Like I said, bison naturally exist here. Bison are an American red meat animal. I'd want to say bovine type animal, but they're not bovine. They're not in the bovine family at all. So I'm wrong. They are in the bovine family because they can breed with cows. So bison are the natural American bovine, basically. Yaks don't come from here. Cows are only here and were part of what we adopted into American culture because they came from Europe. Europe is where they domesticated and bred the cows, and they brought cows with them, and then they raised cows. It's what they were used to, and that's why that has the prevalence here that it has as cows. And then you have the industry around cows and beef that has funded a lot of the nutrition and food information and that type of thing to make beef as prevalent as it is, as well as to promote having fat. Is all the flavor comes from the fat, which is a complete lie. You need the fat in the beef because you've neutered all the flavor. Like, beef is pink. Bison is red. Elk is more red. And if it's more red, what I have found is it has more flavor. And it is what it is. Like I've said, I've never had yak. I'm probably going to order yak meat from Jeffree Star's thing at the end of this when I'm done streaming, just so I can have some yak. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to do it. And if I do, I will let you know the results. The thing is, I just never had yak, and the reasons for it being not used here are very obvious to me.
Yaks have been around for 5,000 years. They're
So have bison. What's your point?
The most hardiest creatures that we have in our world. They've been here since the dinosaur ages, so there was never a plan
No, they haven't.
to raise yaks for meat in the beginning. I know some people can't fathom that, and they want to say I'm a liar, I'm this, blah, blah, blah. Girl, I've been living out in paradise out here. And when I learned more about the animal, I was like, oh, well, I want to try doing stuff like that. So, yes, a long time ago, I did trademark the Star Yak Ranch for all sorts of things: fiber, breeding, butchering, everything. So, yes, I do sell.
Okay, so he does do the meat and everything else. That makes sense.
Nothing to do with my yak ranch. That is a whole separate company. But I get it. It's Jeffree Star. People love to make everything into something that it's not. And I've just been keeping to myself.
Oh my God,
so I know
they really will.
girls want
They
to
really
get
will.
excited. But this animal, you can use it all aspects. Whether it's a pet, whether you're using it to ride up the mountain and you saddle train it, whether you are
Being able to saddle train a yak is what sets it aside from the cows and the bison. It really is. That's what sets it aside. Is you can actually use yaks to pull carriages, to ride to places. You can actually use them as a labor animal. So that does set them apart. The thing is, once again, it's not going to be prevalent, and they're not going to be the hardiest, most capable of surviving in America because they're not from here. They just aren't. The bison do better than them naturally because they're from here, and the things that hunt them are pretty much gone. Like there are places reintroducing wolves. Wolves will hunt the bison. The bison will once again learn how to defend themselves from the wolves as they did for time immemorial. The saber-toothed tigers, though, gone. They ain't eating them. The short-faced bear, gone. Not eating them. So, like the prevalent predators for bison are pretty much gone. We still have some bears that eat them and stuff, but it's just not as prevalent anymore. On top of that, the hump on a bison's neck is actually all there as support and muscle for their neck, not just fat, for them to actually push their head through the deep snow that you get in the northern regions of North America. So it's at a certain point the yak is going to falter in that depth of snow in comparison to the bison. And that ability for the bison also allows them to forage through deeper snow. But then when he said yaks have been here since the dinosaurs, no, they haven't. And the reason we know they haven't is because they're too large. So anything that's considered megafauna, which is anything over 100 pounds as far as animals on land, during a mass extinction event pretty much dies. Things in the ocean live. Things on the land that are large die. Yaks, large, dead. Goodbye. It is what it is.
Eating it, whether you're using its horns, the skull. I mean, this animal is it's been used for thousands and thousands of years. So as I educated
and
myself
you can use everything from literally all these animals.
And I was like, oh my god, it's so good and it's so lean. And I get that a lot of people may not even know what a yak was until Jeffree popped up on the scene. I have a yak ranch now, and we are selling meat.
Yeah, I've just never seen yak meat for sale ever.
TikTok, Twitter.
I would have bought it had I seen it just to try it. I've just never seen it anywhere.
Yaks that I'm raising for food, they're in a back pasture. Yes, they are still getting love and care, and they're eating amazing. Obviously, they're all grass-fed. But I don't name them. I don't halter train them. I don't spend hours with them.
Well, no.
My ranch.
No, see, and that makes sense. That goes back to what I was saying about being attached to the animals that you have to butcher and slaughter. You separate yourself from them. You don't name the animals you have to eat, okay? You don't do it. Or you name them food items, okay? You just know that they are food. You treat them like they're going to be food. That's how you have to do it, or else you're going to create problems for yourself.
And we don't have names for our food. But that doesn't mean that other ranches don't. I know people that would raise...
I know people who do.
Like this, and then 10 years later, they're like, okay, I fed you for 10 years. Now you're going to feed me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different...
Yeah, it's the way you look at it.
City of LA and educating myself of the Wyoming way and actually becoming a real rancher. Besides that,
oh, look at the cute little baby yak.
It's been amazing, you guys. It's been so cool.
Oh, it's hidden now.
So,
it's like right there, though.
To the Star Yak Ranch. Let's keep educating.
For the best skin of your life now, and 20 years from now...
I probably am going to buy some yak just because I've literally never seen it. Like, I've never seen it on a menu anywhere, and I've never seen it in a store anywhere, or else I would have bought yak meat just to try it out, for sure. I've never once seen it anywhere. I don't know that anybody's seen it anywhere to buy it other than maybe online. Or unless you know a yak rancher, I suppose. But there you go. Oops, didn't mean to do that. See, they just love it out there and all being all snowy. I'm going to go back to this real quick. A lot of people think that this is something that hurts the animal and that the animals don't like and stuff. And the fact is, you do this typically with the animals that are less accustomed to being around humans and interacting with humans so that they can't gore you with their horns while you're grooming them. Because if you don't groom them, they will be highly uncomfortable. This is actually not uncomfortable. It just stops them from being able to pull their head out or their body forward, as well as being able to turn their head and smack you or anything. And by blocking their vision, it also helps keep them calm for a lot of these types of animals while allowing you to still groom them so that they're not getting hurt, but at the same time, you're able to provide a much needed comfort and just relief for them. A little baby.
All right, let's get to ranching.
I feel like he moved to Wyoming just to say words like howdy.
Oh my god, it is such a beautiful
That's going to be the new theory. Jeffree Star moved to Wyoming so he can say words like howdy and wear cowboy boots.
Oh my god, my hay barn is finally filled. Okay, so a while ago, we started yakking. And I started with 5 yaks. And then I looked out in all this acreage and I was like, where are they? And I became obsessed with the yak culture. I learned all the ranches in America. I learned about the associations, and I really went full in. And I realized, okay,
It's a smart way to do
be
it.
a yak rancher, and I want way more. So fast forward to in a year's time, we now have 125 because we just had 5 new babies. Oh my God, since I last posted, but we're at 125 yaks for pets and breeding. They're so amazing. A lot of new babies this week, but I needed a hay barn. So, hi.
You would need a hay barn.
So look at this old footage. So this was from months ago, you guys. Now the weather here can be crazy. You can't do construction when it's below
Yes.
0 and 20 inches of snow. So you see me standing in a field of sticks. Oh my God! And it was cool just to see the foundation of this structure get put together from literally 0 to nothing. So it's been fun to watch all the transformations and things just come together out here. And now, hi, look at this barn. It's really big. And you may be wondering, why is there no black doors? Well, there is a shortage because of COVID, right? The supply chain, right? And we're about to paint it finally, but there's only white doors available.
That is
And
the fact.
hay barn's here. Now, over here, we talked
It
about
was a
the
pain in the
actual
ass to find doors at all. So being able to find any doors at all during COVID actually became an issue. So be happy you got a white door and that you're able to paint it, because it was a motherfucker finding doors.
So, yeah. Finally, now that it's summer, we're going to start this insane project. Right now, this looks like I don't know what.
Like bathroom
So this
fixtures
will be
specifically
the yak
became
salon.
very
We'll be able
difficult.
to groom all the yaks. It'll have heating and air conditioning, a wash station. It's going to be pretty magical. I want to just do something next level. Now that there's so many yaks, grooming will be way easier. Now, I do love, of course, grooming in the pasture and
That makes
chilling
sense.
with them, but for some of the more wild yaks or yaks with a little
See.
ornery personalities, this is just, it'll be perfect for it. Okay, now there's an aluminum shortage.
And that goes back to what I said, that setup. Sometimes you're going to need that for the animals because they're more ornery, they're less social. You have to make sure you're protecting yourself or they will gore you. Just because they don't eat meat does not mean they will not kill you.
From Wyoming, and if you want a custom plate, they just cut you off. So thank God I got my Yaks trailer plate. Oh my God, a few days ago, thank the Lord. But you guys, oh my God, I've been mastering the Yaks, halter training them, getting them in and out of the trailer. It's been really, really cool. Ooh, the breeze is coming, Here comes
Yep,
the
you
sun.
definitely have
So
to
we got
train
a
them.
trailer. We've been really working the Yaks for months now. Now, we had this amazing exotic animal trainer and animal behavior specialist come to town, Miss Terry Lindley, and she is amazing. She comes from Oklahoma. And we're going to insert some footage right now. Oh my God, we had the best time with her. She is amazing. And it's really like, the animals, this is their world and we're living in it. So we got to really experience.
It's
how
our
to
world
handle
too.
yak, how to,
We just
handle
have
its
to learn how to
personality. You see
coexist
us,
better in most
struggling
situations,
sometimes.
to be
It's really,
honest.
we're the ones struggling. The animal is going to learn how it wants to learn, and yaks are so intelligent. They're way smarter than cows. And Terry taught us so much.
I think people
So
underestimate
we're
how
always
smart
training,
cows are, to
breathing,
be honest.
getting them in and out of a trailer with ease, and they're just learning to really be comfortable with humans. So we had the best time with her, and just looking at this footage makes me smile so much. Terry, you're a fucking rock star. Thank you so much for all that you've taught us. And she's actually coming here later this summer. Some of the yaks you're looking at right now will get a refresher from Miss Terry, and a lot of our new babies will get halter trained for the first time, and it's just such a cool experience. So if you want friendly yaks, you really gotta spend a lot of time with them, and I think that our time with Terry was just exponentially invaluable.
So that would be absolutely true. Having an expert like Terry come out and help you out with something like your yaks that you're not familiar with, you didn't grow up handling these types of animals, you're not as familiar with it, of course it's going to be valuable. It'll help you out exponentially because they know exactly what they're doing. They can make sure you learn what to do when you're to correct the things you're doing wrong, make sure you're doing things the right way from the beginning, etc., etc. And having that type of person come out on a regular basis, like not the same person all the time, obviously, as they're going to age and stop doing it eventually, but having people who know what they're doing in that way come out on a regular basis to make sure that you're always being educated is always a good thing.
So just to educate everyone, every pet on the Star Yak Ranch has a pink ear tag. Some people thought if they were ear tagged, that meant they were going to the butcher. Let me clear up all the rumors.
It's not how it works.
The cool thing is there is 2 yak associations, and you can register their DNA, get all their heritage, their parentage, and it's really cool. So every yak that is staying at the Star Yak Ranch and we are using for breeding or just to love on, they all have names like Titanic, Gold Rush, Rich Bitch, and of course Two-Face. So every yak has these, as you see on Instagram or if I'm ever posting them. Now you can go to usyaks.org and you can go to the yak registry and type in this number and you can see all the info about the yak. So no, this is not meaning they're going bye-bye. These are our loved animals. Now behind me, these animals are going actually to slaughter tomorrow. No, they are not halter trained, they are not named, and they just have just normal tags. Now these animals are now being finished with
and actually you can see like that's just a white tag. It's probably just a tag and the number, not a name and all that other stuff, right? And you can also tell from like their coats they're more wild.
Grass fed only, so they're eating grass and alfalfa mix right now. There is 0 grain
pretty typical
given to our yaks that will become food, where our pets in the pastures, you'll see us giving them apple and oat treats. They love those horse treats. I think it's so important to educate yourself and know where your food comes from. Living in California, I had no idea about that stuff, nor did I care. And as I started really fully living out here and changing my diet, everything, I mean, I stopped eating fast food 2 years ago. I may have, cheated once or twice and had Raising Cane's in Denver, but fast food now disgusts me. Where like that was my whole brand, bitch. I was at Taco Bell every day on Instagram.
Gross.
Living, and I'm not proud of that person. I'm proud of the Jeffree Lynn that stands here today with clear skin, I'm toned. I feel way better. I'm not bloated, tired. Even I think the food was making me moody and depressed, and it was really a part of everything I was going through.
Probably was.
So to know where your food is raised is so important, and these animals are just living their lives freely until it's time to be on someone's plate. And yak meat is so good, it's so delicious, and I really can't wait for more people to explore and dive in because the health benefits are amazing. Okay, now let me show you guys my meat. Alright, you guys, now I'm sure you've seen this online. It's been all over the news. But yes, you guys, I am officially selling yak meat.
Alright, so it's just ground meat.
Sirloins to roast.
Alright, good.
Yak. You can make meatballs from this, hamburgers, tacos, oh my god. If you're bored, Google it.
Yeah, that's ground meat. You can do anything you do with ground meat.
Amazing. 90% fat-free. The red wine color is because
90% fat-free is literally the same thing that you get from the bison.
Yaks have a massive lung capacity because obviously they're used to high altitudes. Their red blood vessels are just different than other cattle. They're very sturdy, and the meat is just gorgeous. So, oh my god, hi cooler. So yes, you guys, we will be shipping yak meat all over America on staryaks.com. The site is being built right now, and we're very excited. Yes, they will be in coolers with dry ice, and everything is
yeah, it's how you get meat when it's shipped to you.
Inspected. And it's just done the right way. So now that I'm raising my own animals for food, I don't really eat other meat. Like the thought of eating
Like, why would
a
you?
cheeseburger, which is not even real, like literally makes me sick. But when I go out, I love enjoying other stuff now, like pasta and fish and things. But like, I really only eat my meat now, which is so cool. All right, you guys. So
Like,
thank you so
why
much for
would
coming.
why would you eat other meat? If you have your own meat, why would you eat other meat? I mean, really, why? Just why?
Along on this crazy journey. Hi, this is Star Creek Road. So when I bought a lot of this land, there was access roads where people could drive through my land, and it was just obnoxious. I just wanted my privacy, so I built this road. Donatella, come on, pumpkin! Living in LA, I had no idea you could build your own road. And the county let me name it. Casper has been so incredible.
Yeah, so that's what he just said is very factual and important for people to realize. You can build your own road. So this is something people don't understand when they talk to people like myself. They think that really the government is bloated and should probably just not be in your business at all, and that they, for the most part, don't need to exist. And yet you'll have people who tell you dumb shit like, "Oh, what about my roads? I need the roads to be able to drive on." And blah. Like, okay, well, like, who the fuck do you think built them? You really think the state built them, or you think the state paid somebody to go out there and build the fucking road? The fact is, the state maintains them. Sometimes states have their own portion of employees that maintain and work on roads as state employees. I think my stepdad did that in Colorado. The thing is, it's not every state, and it's not every county either. Not to mention the fact that you can legitimately build your own roads. You can pay somebody to go do your own roads. Now, people get upset about this. Oh, well, that's got to be so expensive and all this other shit. Well, here's the fucking thing. It's expensive for you anyways. You just don't see it because they took the money out of your paycheck. That like 30 to 40% of your paycheck that's gone when you get it, that you don't ever see. There's your fucking roads. All right? So yeah, you're already spending a shit ton of money on the roads. Wouldn't you rather just spend the money on the roads that you actually use and want to use, and expect companies and corporations that are transporting goods across those roads that they require for them to do business, for them to get the trucks that have the goods that they sell to you, and for you to get to them to purchase those goods? Wouldn't you think that maybe they would be contributing a little bit more to these roads than you would be in that situation anyways?
Really love the city. It is just full of real hardworking, kind people. Like, I just have been treated so great. Everything from opening up new businesses to my horrendous car accident. I've just been shown nothing but love out here. So, Casper, I love you. Wyoming, thank you so much for being so fucking beautiful. Donatella! Alright, you guys, there is a lot of growing here at the Star Yak Ranch. There's so many new babies coming, and I'm very excited to expand. Now, if you're in town or you're passing through, the Star Yak Burger has officially joined the busiest restaurant in all of Wyoming, the amazing steakhouse. It's called Fire Rock. It's on 2nd Street here in Casper. It is my favorite restaurant, and it is an honor to be on the menu. So if you're in town, check it out, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye, y'all.
All right, now we're going to figure out what Dustin Daly has to say about this.
Grocery delivery that over-delivers.
We're gonna figure out what this guy has to say about Star Yak Ranch, because apparently he knows the truth about it, and he's gonna expose Jeffree Star and his terrible yak ranching habits. I really just don't see Jeffree Star being cruel to the fucking yaks. I'm just gonna say it.
There's so much drama going on right now.
Hey, what is up, all my social climbing friends? It's Dustin, and I'm back with another video. Now, you guys, when I left you off last time, I was talking about Jeffree Star and how I was going to try the yak meat. I talked about Amber Heard and all that different shit that's going on with her. But I just finished watching Jeffree Star's latest upload, and I have some thoughts about it. Now, there were some things that I did not cover in my previous video that I want to talk about in today's video just a little bit, because some people are kind of getting mixed signals from me, because I commented on Jeffree Star's video, and I was pretty much like, I never expected to see this type of video from Jeffree, not dragging someone and actually getting on on the internet and addressing things in a proper way. And people came for me and they said I was biased and all this different shit. And I'm like, I don't understand how I'm biased, because I will literally drag Jeffree and I will praise him when he does things that are good. And
Okay, so you give a very, like, rational response. That makes sense.
This video, because there are some things that Jeffree did that I didn't discuss that I'm going to talk about in this video that are not really that great. But I do think that it is worth mentioning and talking about when I believe that I have seen some character growth. And I do think that Jeffree Star probably has grown just a little bit. I think that he might have grown just a little bit in moving to Wyoming and staying on this ranch, being able to...
Just a little bit? Now, look, I'm not like a big Jeffree Star consumer or anything. And to be honest, the only reason I know anything about Jeffree Star is because of my niece that edits my videos. The fact is, I know from what she said about how Jeffree Star used to be much more volatile and outspoken about a lot of things than he is now. And to be quite honest, I think the word a little, like the phrase, I think he's grown a little, is very inaccurate. I would say there's been a huge shift in his personality because he's learned that LA is a cesspit of shit. And when you're not living in the city, when you're living in the country, away from most people, when you're living in a place that has less people than other places, and you have to communicate with those people in a respectful way, when those people have to work their ass off to survive, and you live in a climate where the world, Earth itself, will kill you that year just because it decided weather was going to be shit. It will have an effect on you as a person and the way you treat and view other people, because those people are going to treat and view you very differently than people in a city who just see a million people every day and they don't give a shit about the people they don't know. And a lot of the times they don't give a shit about the people they do know. So I'd say he's changed a lot, and it's going to continue to happen until he hits a plateau on that series, which he may reach. I don't know if he's been there long enough to hit that or not. It's not like there's a time frame for it. It just depends on you as an individual. But it's something that will happen to anybody who goes from living somewhere like LA to living somewhere like Casper, Wyoming. Like, for those of you who don't know, Casper is tiny.
To process things, like, I think there has been some kind of character growth there. Does that take away from the things that Jeffree Star has done in the past? Absolutely not, and never will. And that is also up for your own discretion. I'm not here to try to change your opinion. I'm not here to try to change
let
your
it go
on different things. That's not what I'm doing. I'm here to discuss what I think and then ask your feedback so you can tell me what you think as well. So I wanted to talk about a few different things that went on in this video.
I'm sick of everybody holding on to the past and using it against everybody else. It's gotten to such a ridiculous point that if you are of the wrong complexion, then you are responsible for things that happened thousands of years ago from people that you may not even be related to, but have a same complexion, assumedly, as you. And what they did to somebody who has, assumedly, the same complexion as the person accusing you of whatever atrocity took place in the historical past. Like, people have gotten absurd with this. It's the fucking past. Let it go.
First, I want to give Jeffree props. I do think that as a person, he may have grown a little bit. He did say that he has ranch hands that stay on the ranch with him, but pretty much most of the work that is done on the ranch is done by him and a few of his friends. Like
I doubt most of the work is.
A lot because, you know, Jeffree Star is from LA, and in LA, you know, people flock together. They have the gays, they have all these different scenes out there. And Jeffree Star used to hang out with a lot of people. You guys know that he's been friends with everybody in the beauty space at one point. But what I'm trying to get at here is I think that Jeffree Star has grown a little bit by isolating himself and trying to get to the root of the situation with him and other people. Jeffree Star is a Scorpio, so
yeah, he had to deal with himself.
Just a little bit. I do think that there's some.
I kind of identify with Jeffree Star just a little bit because we were born under the same stars in constellations. It holds no fucking bearing. Calm the fuck down.
Things that we have in common, just because we're Scorpios. If you believe in astrology, you believe. If you don't, you don't. That's okay. But what I wanted to
it's
talk
nonsense.
About mostly in this
You're
video
just born that day. It doesn't matter a whole lot.
There's quite
Chill.
a few. We're going to read them really quickly, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on them. So Here we go. Now, keep in mind that these tweets did come out after Jeffree Star said that he was going to be selling this yak meat, and people were dragging him. They weren't being very nice to him. And to be completely honest, I still do not understand why people are dragging him for selling yak meat.
Because God forbid that he be not supporting veganism.
There's all kinds of different meat. I don't really...
It's literally the fact that it's Jeffree Star. So he's somebody who's polarizing and easy to attack, that people attack all the time. People have been attacking for all the time, and it's just kind of the way it goes. On top of that, you're not vegan, you're a monster because we assume we're better than you because we're vegan. Like, it's stupid. These people are disgusting.
Really understand why yak is where people are drawing the line. To be completely honest, I had never heard of yaks before this. Like, I've heard yak, but I'd never seen one. I thought it was just like a different variation of a cow. Don't come for me. I do not know anything about agriculture or raising animals. Girl, I have 2 dogs that I love the most, and that is really the gist of my whole, like, animal adventure. But Jeffree Star put out these tweets, and I'm going to read them for you, so here they are. Jeffree Star said, I guess some people forget that it's okay to change your mind or evolve an idea. People are so fucking weird. It's a trip. If you're losing sleep over me, it's time for some self-reflection. The world is so dark and ugly. Why project your self-anger at me? And I understand that. I do think that Jeffree Star has been like a target for a bunch of people because he's low-hanging fruit when it comes to like people dragging him. He has such a sordid past, and rightfully so. If you want to drag Jeffree for his past, that's absolutely fine, because there's some people that are not going to accept his apology and don't find it genuine. There are going to be other people that do. Question the...
So now, once again, let it fucking go. And the reason I say let it fucking go, while at the same time I would literally point at people who want to be like, oh, well, Joe Biden's so great, and I would do the exact opposite. Here's the difference. Things that Jeffree Star has said in the past and done in the past, he's grown from. He's changed from, right? In many ways. Some of it, maybe not so much. Some of it, very different now. The thing is, you look at Joe Biden as the comparison I gave, and what do you have? You have a guy who in the 1960s, during the Civil Rights Movement, as a senator, I think at the time, he was either a congressman or a senator. I want to say he was a senator then. Joe Biden, and I quote, stated that he voted against civil rights for black Americans because he didn't want his kids growing up in, what did he call it? A racial jungle, I believe is how he phrased this. And then he goes on in 2020 and says, while running for president, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. So he's telling you that if you're black, that you have to vote for him, or you're not really black. He's basically saying that you're just an Uncle Tom if you don't vote for him. Meanwhile, in the 60s, he didn't want you to be raised in the same society alongside his children as equals. So his past hasn't really changed from his present. He still seems to hold a lot of those same views, according to the way he likes to phrase things and make comments about things. Whereas, from what I've heard and seen of Jeffree Star, it's pretty different. There's obviously some things are the same, right? Still into all the fashion stuff, still does all the beauty supply things, makeup and whatever. He's still that gay guy. He's still flamboyant. He still has his opinions. The thing is, he's not just out there trying to piss people off, making inflammatory statements, and trying to be in this position where, like, okay, you're going to drag me, I'm going to earn being dragged, and I'm going to try and drag other people with me. Like, he's not really doing that anymore, right? I haven't heard about it. Maybe it's going on, but I don't follow him. So I don't know about it. But the fact is, from what I know of it, there's been a lot of change in the way he goes about things, that you should probably just leave the past in the past, because he's clearly changed. But if somebody's going to still be the exact same as they were in the past, in their actions and in their words, then the past is still relevant. You can either move from it or you can bring it with you. It's one or the other.
Argument, not the person. Here's where Jeffree kind of lost me a little bit in his tweet thread that he posted the other day, because I don't really feel like entangling women's rights with selling yak meat is really a way to get in with people, but he did, and we're going to talk about it. So here's the tweet. Every single moment. There's no way people are actually concerned about me supplying local communities with food. I've donated over 1,000 pounds of meat to shelters, which is great. And I kind of said this in my previous video. If Jeffree's going to donate food and things that are going to help people that are in need, I don't understand why people are dragging him for that. If he's going to help people that are in need for things at this point in time when the world is so bad, I don't get why he's being dragged for it. Especially.
So it's the same reason that they drag, let's say, Mr. Beast, right? Well, you're doing good things. Well, fuck you. Fuck you. You're still rich. It's this jealousy of somebody who has more and can do shit to help people, and God forbid that they do, and maybe that brings more attention and they're able to build a bigger platform and make more money and have an easier quote-unquote life because they're making more money off of these endeavors and efforts. The thing is, you could fucking do it too. It's people who are just mad at people who are doing things instead of doing things. It's one of the most absurd human fallacies of all time, is that you will be mad at somebody for doing shit because you're not.
Especially when there's so many people that can benefit from what he's doing. However, I really did not like that he added in this about women's rights. That's so, like, completely different and, like, off topic from him selling yak meat. They're two totally different things. I don't feel like they really go together, but I'll leave that for you to discern in the comments. Then Jeffree went on to say, when I stopped eating fast food and started to care about my body more, I realized I wanted to take what I was doing to a different avenue as well, and it's been a beautiful experience. Not eating horrible meat from farmers that give animals growth hormones and disgusting additives. Now, I'm pretty sure that there's probably a lot of people that will agree with Jeffree on this, because the things that they feed these animals that we actually eat and consume every day is kind of scary if you've ever looked into it. I try not to look at that because it kind of scares me half to death. I think we could all be a little bit more informed about the things that we consume and put into our bodies, but that's a topic for a different discussion.
You probably should be, because you are in fact what you eat. So you should probably make sure you have information about what the fuck you're putting in your body. Personally, I will say this. If you have, like, so a lot of beef, right, makes me feel like shit when I eat it. And I thought it was red meat that made me feel this way for a long time, so I just didn't eat red meat for a long time outside of, like, an occasional burger or maybe a steak once in a while. Now pretty much all I eat is bison, and the fact is, when I started figuring this out, and I started realizing certain types of beef were fine. If I get something that's actually out on a ranch grazing and living a normal life, I'm fine. But when it's something that's being raised in the meat industry and given all these shots and hormones and nothing but a grain diet, and it fucks me up. It makes me feel like shit. So there's a huge difference. Like, and by feel like shit, I mean physically ill, as well as just energy levels suck. Like, you eat that steak and you just want to go pass out, like go into a food coma, right? I don't get that way when I eat good, healthy meat.
But I do think that Jeffree Star is raising a valid point here. Now, Jeffree quote tweeted someone that said, I think the idea of publicly vegan cosmetic line versus publicly promoting meat consumption is a bit of a conflict of interest. No, I personally don't care, to each their own. And Jeffree quoted this and said, I see no conflict. I chose to create a cosmetic line that doesn't torture and test on animals. We all know I've never claimed to be vegan. It's about evolving in the beauty industry and moving past old ways. And I feel like I can agree with him on this. This is a fair point. But here's where Jeffree Star really lost.
I'd agree too. Like, that is a very fair point. Like, why we don't need to be testing beauty products on animals. Like, first of all, is it really going to interact with their skin the way it's going to interact with the human skin? Are the oils in the skin going to be the same? Are the pores the same? Is the skin the same? Probably not. On top of the fact that just, like, you find out all these things, you're like, this thing's not really all that healthy, but maybe we can use this much of it, it won't be a big deal, let's put it on that animal and see what happens, and then it fucking kills the animal. Like, why not just not use that element and figure out something else to do that's not going to be damaging? How about that? Like, it's not that big a deal to work around. It's just a matter of, convenience. So, I agree.
Me. And
Has
here's
nothing to
where
do
I
with being
saw,
a vegan.
Shimmers of the old Jeffree coming through. And what I mean by the old Jeffree is somebody that would snap on someone that would drag someone. You know that Jeffree used to be the first person on Twitter to call someone out their name, drag someone, make a tweet thread about someone. And I think that we can all honestly agree that Jeffree has not done anything like that in quite some time. At least over a year and a half. I could be wrong.
He hasn't done anything like that in over a year and a half, but you're going to say that this is doing the same thing because he quote tweeted somebody to point out the fact that his yak industry has absolutely nothing to do with his beauty line. That his beauty line not testing on animals it wasn't him saying he's vegan at all. It was him saying we don't need to test on animals. Like, he's not dragging anybody by quote tweeting to call out bullshit. This is nonsense. This is a nonsense thing to do, and it's a stretch and a reach in order to try and be like, remember how shitty he was? That's what this feels like.
Correct me in the comments. But here's where things kind of went left, and I was like, oh, little bits of Jeffree are showing from the past. So here's what happened. Jeffree said, stop using the same regurgitated quote from last year when I said all of my yaks are pets. They are. But months later, I learned how healthy yak meat is, and I started to appreciate learning where my food comes from. Educate yourself and not immediately lash out. So this person named Marika responded to Jeffree, and it kind of set him off. She said, so you want us to believe you just randomly wanted a yak farm, loved them like pets, and then realized the good meat and profit? And she used...
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what would happen. See, the thing is, once again, Jeffree's addressing someone who's trying to attack him in a way that they've probably tried to attack him a million times for months. And instead of snapping on them, dragging them, and destroying them the way that he used to go about trying to do things, he's just addressing it and shooting down the bullshit and being like, look, instead of just coming to some random-ass assumption, why don't you go, oh, yeah, all the yaks you had 9 months ago, 6 months ago were pets. And then somebody said, you could eat that, right? And it's really good for you. And he was like, wait a minute, I can? Let me check this out. And then realized you could eat yaks, that they're really good for you. And then he set up another portion of his yak ranch that's for meat. You can do more than one thing. Why is this so hard for people to grasp?
Here's a gif of James Charles, which I'm sure was to get in on Jeffree. We all know the history that Jeffree has with James Charles. It's
no, I don't.
All across the internet. And Jeffree Star snapped and said the following: I could give one fuck what you thought. You sound like a complete piece of shit, and your existence is irrelevant to my world. Go eat some yak and take a Xanax. Now,
see, there you go. That's more of the throwback to who he used to be, and it's still calm. That still isn't shit from what I've heard from him. Like, from my niece showing me shit, that's nothing in comparison at all. That's literally like you're in your glass house throwing rocks, and then this guy comes by and goes, stop throwing your fucking rocks at me, all right? And then you're like, whoa, well, you used to throw rocks all the time, so I'll do what I want. You really think you have rocks on your land for no reason, and then you just decided that you were going to throw them back? And then he went, fuck your glass house then. Like, what are you going to... You can't just sit there and dish shit out like that and not have it come back. Like Mike Tyson said, people are getting real comfortable with talking shit and not getting hit in the face for it.
Now listen, I get it. I'm the first person to pop off at someone on the internet. I will say and do whatever. If you go low, I'm going to go lower. And I feel like that's what Jeffree Star did here. Now, do I think that he's wrong for defending himself?
I don't even think he went lower. I think he matched.
That is known for popping off on someone that's wanting to build a new brand. This is a good look? I don't think so.
I don't think it matters.
And drag Jeffree for defending himself in his...
Now, the reason I don't think it matters is because it's Jeffree Star. Like, straight up, because it's Jeffree Star, I think you have to take that into consideration. Because the fact is, that's what people are going to expect from him, and he's going to have the same success regardless. And people are going to attack him no matter what he's doing because it's Jeffree Star. So, like, what's he supposed to do? Just sit back and take it? like a punching bag? No way. The thing is he's not punching down and he's not punching out. He's punching back. And you're not going to hear me ever say that you shouldn't be punching back.
His brand and what he's been working on for the past couple of years, that would make me a hypocrite, and I'm just not going to do it. And to be honest, I've been having a lot of thoughts and trying to reevaluate different things that I've watched in the past and different influencers. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I do feel like Jeffree Star has changed quite a bit because we don't really hear from Jeffree Star that much anymore. And to be quite honest, I do think that this possibly could.
And you're once again ignoring the fact that earlier you said, I don't think he's done anything like this in like a year and a half. So, like, obviously it's been a huge change when that was basically what he did, and then there's a year and a half of him not doing shit, and you have one example you're trying to drag him on. Like, not even drag him, you're just trying to bitch about, like it's a big deal. Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense.
Could be him trying to stir up just a little bit of drama to get people engaged again, because you guys know that Jeffree Star was at the top of the top when he was in the most drama. That's just how it worked.
That's how the internet works. And Jeffree Star understands it's how the internet works. He also understands that that's how the internet works for him, specifically for him. If his name is mentioned, there are attacks. I see it all the fucking time. Oh, this person sucks because Jeffree Star. That's literally the only reason I knew Jeffree Star until my niece started telling me anything about him, was because people would complain about other people because they used Jeffree Star's beauty line, because they knew about Jeffree Star's music, because they followed Jeffree Star, because they interact with Jeffree Star in a not negative way. Like, I would see people bitch about this on things not at all related to Jeffree Star or the things he's interested in, and people would use it as a reason to attack other people. Like, what the hell? That's why I have this stance on this that I do.
The drama was used to Jeffree Star's benefit. Do I think that he's going to get back into drama to promote his brands and his yak meat? I don't think so. Do I think he did this to get people talking about it? Absolutely. That is one thing about Jeffree Star. He's going to get...
How to escape the heat if you don't have it.
So I don't think he did it to get people talking about his yak meat. I really don't. I think he did it because he was trying to promote his yak meat, and somebody decided to shit talk him over his yak meat for the umpteen millionth time, and he'd had enough. And decided, I'm going to punch back. Fuck this. And so he did. And the fact of the matter is, his engagement on his posts promotes the post further, because people go, oh, well, he responded to them, maybe he'll respond to me. Oh, he retweeted this, he quote tweeted that, maybe he'll do it to me. It promotes engagement, and the only way people engage with him is negatively. So, what's he supposed to do? Be the punching bag and hope that it gets engagement, or punch back knowing that it creates the engagement? Well, you're going to punch back. Especially like Jeffree Star's never just been someone's bitch to lay there and just be the punching bag for you. Oh, please just punch me in the face repeatedly. No, Jeffree Star's always punched back. In fact, many times he used to punch down. Now he's straight up just punching back, and he's trying to like denigrate this to being something it's not. And it's actually just the what the fucking me over this whole thing.
Well, give you a show when he gives you a show. It might take him a few years to do it, but eventually he will blow up. And sometimes it's warranted. I would probably feel the same way if I had worked on...
Everybody will blow up eventually.
...working on myself, and then just immediately off gate after I show something, somebody pops off at me. Of course, yes, I would be very upset. And I'll probably get on Twitter and drag them. But basically what I'm trying to say here is I do think that Jeffree Star has changed a lot. I'm not saying that washes away his past. I'm not saying that he should be forgiven for everything that he's done in the past. That's not my call. That's not for me.
Forgive him for the things he grew from. Like, that's literally what I keep saying. He keeps acting like, oh, I don't think you should do this or that or blah. Like, you can't just sit on the fence on that type of a thing. This isn't something you just sit on a fence on, like, oh, I don't think that you should be doing this or this, and I think, I'm just on the fence with it all. No, you can't fence at that. Like, the fact is, if somebody has taken the past and said, look, this is where I fucked up, and I'm going to be better at that. And then they work on it, and they're better at that now. You can forgive them for that. They've learned from that, and they've become better in that regard. That's what the whole point is of becoming better and working on yourself. If nobody's ever going to forgive people for the things that they have grown from, you're never, ever going to see people get better at anything. In fact, you'll see everything disintegrate and become worse.
For me to say, but my own personal opinion and my own takeaway from Jeffree Star uploading this video today, I thought it was a very well put together video. It seemed genuine, it seemed authentic, and at some parts, Jeffree even seemed like he was a little bit nervous to share what he had been doing, and it was a little bit refreshing to watch. But you guys, please let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I'm so interested to see what you guys will say, what you think about this. Like I said before, question the argument, not the person. Be respectful of one another. I would really appreciate it if you did. I do have a video coming out later this week about Audrey Mess. For you guys that are into the true crime that I'm doing, I'm so excited to share it with you. It's a really crazy story, and it's about diving, free diving. It's so scary, the things that these people do and how they prepare themselves for this stuff. And I really feel like her story didn't get enough attention that it deserved, because it's really crazy and it's really a mess.
Okay.
I'm still working on my Sinead O'Connor video. I'm like halfway through.
Okay, so you're just talking about random nonsense that I'm not interested in. So, there you go. He's exposing Star Yak Ranch, which was really just like a not exposing of anything. If we're being perfectly honest, this video is fairly what the fuck. Like it's like he saw Jeffree Star's video and then made a response to it as if he had something to offer that was going to be like, see, Jeffree's full of shit, and he didn't really have anything to offer about it except for a tweet.